What's up, nerds and nerdettes and wee little nerdlings all? It's your buddy Big Johnny G for Two Gun Picture presents Legendary Gaming! Yes, and welcome back indeed, my friends. So we are here for another part of this little three-parter, so to speak. No, so to speak about it, it is exactly a three-parter. And this one is part of the Big Johnny G's How to Play. The Stars Are Right by Steve Jackson Games. So this is a game of puzzle solving, but as well as puzzle making, in order to bring about your
elder being, your great old one, into existence to destroy the world and hopefully devour you as well. That would be wonderful.
So I've shown you how to set the game up, and we're going to show you how one round plays. But why don't I teach you how the game plays first, before you watch that. So I'll see you down the table. Our game is set up. We have our 5x5 grid. Players have their 5 cards each. The draw deck, creature card deck is ready to go. And everything is down. So the first thing you got to know is that the first player, this game suggests the first player, is chosen by whose zodiac sign will next be ruling the stars, the sky. In other words, my friends, whose birthday is coming up next gets to be the first player, and the game will go clockwise from there. Let's talk about turn sequence, because there's 6 things, 6 parts. There are 6 segments to the turn sequence. Only one of them is mandatory. Let's check that out. Let's take a quick moment and take a look at the cards and check out their anatomy, so to speak. So there are 4, but let's deal with these 3 first. There are 3 types of cards that you could get. Could get minions, lesser servitors, or greater servitors. There are also great old ones. I will get to them in a moment. There's a servant, as you see from this symbol right here, of the great old one, Chognar. Up top, as I said, we have the name, and here underneath it is the type. Over here on the top left-hand side, we're going to see the invocation. Now, this is a symbol, or in this case, symbols, which will show you how you can use this card, sacrifice this card, discard it, I guess I should say in this case, to gain the effect or effects listed up over here. Down here we have the bonus star. Now this one just happens to be a star. Sometimes it is a shooting star. Sometimes it is the void. It is basically any one of the tile symbols. Any one of the tile symbols. And that means that when you are trying to summon your greater older one, when you're trying to summon Chognar, you can ignore up to 3 servitors have in play. So having the Miragiri, I could ignore this while trying to summon Chognar, the great old one. Over here on the right hand side, we're going to see the point value. As the first person to reach 10 points in this game is the winner. Or at least is the last one devoured. As I sort of already pointed out, this section over here covers constellations. Constellations, these are the patterns of the star that have to be visible on the board in order for you to bring this into play. So you could discard this card for the effect up here, or you can try to bring this card out into play if these stars, a 2, a shooting, and under the 2, a single star. If these are anywhere, then you can bring this guy in. And then you can have him, and that will give you access to his power, which is right down here. His power is that he can turn this symbol into a double. So if he was already out in play, and you discarded your ghoul minions to get this, having him could give it to you twice. And that's the anatomy of the cards. So now, why don't we get around to exactly what goes on during the turn. 6 options you have, as you can plainly see by the turn sequence. Woo! Close up. You have six. You have 6 things that you can do during your turn, and only the last one, the 6th one, is actually that's not an option. That is a definite. You have to do it, and that last thing that you absolutely positively have to do is make sure that you have at least 5 cards in your hand. So if you have to draw back up at the end of your turn to make 5, or if you have the gassed minion out in play, you can actually have up to 6. But yeah, you have to make sure, otherwise you have to have at least, you have to have at the most. You have to have exactly 5 cards in your hand. Everything else that you can do, the other 5 options are exactly that. They are completely optional, my friends, completely optional. So with the card anatomy, we sort of went over this a little bit. So the first option that you have is your invocation. And when you use invocation, you have to use all the symbols. So let's say I was going to use Cthulhu in order to get 3 of this symbol, 3 of the push symbol. So if I played the Cthulhu card for my invocation, I would get 3 of this symbol here, which is push. I would get 3 push symbols for me to use. What's a push symbol? We'll find out. So the three different invocation symbols that you see here: push, swap, and flip. Let's take a look at push. So push is exactly that. If you wanted to push, let's say, the middle row, you could push that 1 tile to the left or 1 tile to the right. Now when you do that, the tile at the end will get pushed off the board as the other ones come in to fill in the space. And then that last tile will simply come around and fill in that opening space right there. When you play a card for the swap, you're literally going to be swapping the place between 2 cards that are next to each other. You could swap this, or maybe if you wanted to, you could swap this, you could swap this. As long as the 2 cards that you are swapping are next to each other, boom, boom, you can change their placement. And the third option you can have, by discarding this card to use it for its invocation power, is flip. And again, flip is exactly what it says it is. Now, if you notice, this 1 star has these symbols off to the side of it, 4 stars on each side. That's telling you what's on the other side. So when you flip, you always know what you're flipping to. This is not a guessing game. This is not a memory game, at least not in that sense. So they'll always tell you what's on the other side. So you can play a flip, and you can flip 1 card. Another thing you're going to have to do is, if you already have a card out in play that you've summoned and you've brought into being, then you can use their power. In this case, it'll turn 1 swap into 2. Another thing you can do then is summon. If the stars happen to have fallen in the right position, or you've maneuvered them into the right position, you can take a card from your hand that matches what's on the board. So in this case, a shooting star next to a 4 star and a 1 star next to a 3. And here you see a shooting star next to a 4 and a single star next to a 3. Also next to a 3 this way. It didn't matter. Either one of these could have worked. So with that, you are then able to bring this formless Lesser Servitor. You can bring that into play, and then you will be able to use the option, you'll be able to use the flip switch into the flip into a switch. You'll be able to use the flip into a switch. Very handy to have. Out of focus. There we go. Very handy to have. Every game needs these. Really, pretty much. Most games. Very handy to have. And I'm glad I did have that. Have this during the first couple of games. And I'm certainly glad I did have this in the first few games that I ended up playing. So that's how you play the game. The only thing you have to do is make sure you have 5 cards in your hand when it's the end of your turn, or 6 if you happen to have the gas. If you happen to have the gas, then it's going to be 6 cards you can hold in your hand. Everything else is optional. What do you want to do? You want to evoke, put out a card for evocation, and then mix it up with one of the powers you already have. That's fine. You don't have to do it. You can do it. You should do it, because that's how you're going to be getting. That's how you're going to be getting the servitors in, and they're the ones that are worth points. Yeah, it's 10 points. You're going to win the game. Really, really simple game. The only problem with it is
grinding.
Trying to get those stars the way you want, especially when you have multiple players. When you have one other player, it's not that hard, but wow, when you get like 4 players in on this game, you do something to set it up, and then you have to wait 3 other players and see what they change. Oh, that can be a little brutal. In fact, how brutal can that be? Why don't you watch the first round? That'll be coming up next.